Hello everyone and welcome to the Vintage Camper Trailers Bootcamp Online Summit. My name is Roth, I'm 28 years old and I'm located in Tucson, Arizona. I'm excited to share with you guys some of my experiences on trailer rescue to successfully retrieve a vintage trailer and make it home safely. A little bit of background about myself. Since 2014 I've been buying and selling classic cars, which then turned into camper vans, Class B RVs, and now travel trailers. Since that exciting moment of me finding my first Airstream sitting out in the field, I've been able to drag home over 300 vintage trailers. And when I say drag, I mean literally. I've had to drag these things out of all kinds of situations. Let's take a quick walk around and check out some trailers. So this is one of my favorites. It's a 1949 Trailwind. I love the look, and I'm not gonna polish this one. I'm just gonna leave it like that. This is a 1950 Silver Streak Clipper. And this is also one of my favorite trailers because of its iconic alienized look. And I guess you guys can see why they call it alienized, but I just love that look. This is another trailer that I hunted for a few years before finding it. This is a 1956 Bubble Whale Tail. As you can see, the California Whale Tail on the back. Also, you can see the curved fenders. That just means that it's a California built. Gotta love the shiny aluminum. All right, guys, first things first, let's talk tow vehicle. I tow with the Dodge Ram diesel. This thing will pull pretty much anything that I put behind it. It's always important to check your vehicle's tow rating beforehand, so that way you can go down the road with confidence, not have any safety concerns. This is one of my favorite hitches. It's a B&W flip-flop. It's got all three sizes, a 1 7/8, a 2 5/16, and a 2-inch ball. This is really convenient for me when I'm switching back and forth the trailer. That way you don't have to switch out the whole hitch. Definitely highly recommend this one. So now I'm going to show you guys what I carry in my truck to handle just about any situation when it comes to trailer rescue. Alright, these are some of the things that I keep in the bed of my truck. I always carry 2 floor jacks. That way when I get to like a double axle trailer, I can get it up off the ground high enough to take off the wheels and service the bearings. I always carry wood blocks in my truck. That way I can get the trailer high up enough in order to take off the wheels. Before even thinking about jacking it up, these come in handy when it comes to digging out the trailer, digging out around the wheel wells, clearing out where the front A-frame is, and being able to hook up to it. That way you can you can tow it to a higher ground or a better place. That way you can start jacking it up safely. Also, this is a must. You got to plan for the trailer that you're picking up to not have safety chains. You can get these for 20 bucks at like Home Depot, Harbor Freight, Amazon. Highly recommend that for towing safety. WD-40. It's good to have WD-40 when you need it. Sometimes the hitches freeze, and that is definitely a good way to loosen it up and unstick it so that it can latch onto the ball. You don't want to be going down the road and have any sort of question mark of whether that ball is latched onto the hitch. This is what I use to take off the dust cap on a lot of Airstreams. I actually use that quite often. I always carry extra lug nuts. You never know when you get to a trailer and it's missing the lug nut. It's always good to carry extra lug nuts. So this is an inside look of what I carry around inside my truck when it comes to power tools. This is probably my most used item. This is a 1/2-inch Milwaukee impact drill. This is what I use to take off lug nuts. Highly recommend buying one of these. When I first started out, I was using one of those X bars and WD-40, but after a trailer sits for long periods of time, you're going to want to have one of these in your toolbox. Trust me. This is the second best thing that I own when it comes to rescuing vintage trailers. This is an on-demand tankless Milwaukee air compressor. I use this to check PSI before I hit the road. It's powered by interchangeable batteries. I keep an extra charger in the truck, so that way when I'm going down the road I can have backups. Typically those last long enough to do what I need to do, but just in case I've got backups because I've got a lot of Milwaukee tools that are interchangeable with batteries. I also carry a Milwaukee Sawzall. This can cut down trees, it can cut down fences, pretty much anything that's in my way of the trailer that I'm trying to get to. This can handle it. So highly recommend having one of these in your toolbox as well. Also, angle grinder. This is important when it comes to underbelly. Sometimes I gotta cut out the underbelly that's hanging down going down the road. I also use self-tapping screws to get it to hang back up and situated so it doesn't drag on the ground. But these are worth their weight in gold. Milwaukee drill is used for hitting up the underbelly. I carry around a lot of self-tapping screws, so that's very handy. Also, this is like a work light, a utility light. I use it when I'm working in the evenings. It's definitely good to be able to see what you're doing, especially when you're working with power tools. So anyway, that's another good thing to have. Also in the power tools category, I carry a jump pack on where you can turn it on and off, which is pretty important because sometimes when I buy Airstreams they have automatic jacks, and that way I can hook up to it and get the automatic jack to work, and so that the jack is not hanging down on the ground going down the road. Another very crucial part of the equation is safety lights. So I'm going to show you why it's important to not cheap out on batteries. Buy the nice batteries, it's worth the investment. So this, here, I'm just going to give you guys a comparison. See, it might not even turn on. Well, anyway, it was supposed to turn on for the video, but the point is this is what you want to go with down the road. Clearly these just died. I just put them in a few hours ago. These are battery powered lights, so that way you don't have to worry about running a cord, sometimes 45 feet depending on what trailer you're towing. These have worked really well for me with good batteries. I found out the hard way, putting cheap dollar store batteries is not the way to go. So go with the nice batteries. So oftentimes when I pick up trailers, the lights don't work, so I just bring these in case. You can get some Bluetooth lights off Amazon. Those also work pretty great if you want like brake lights and turn lights, but these, I mean, these work really well for me in my experience. These are temporary lights. I use these just to get home. Once you get home, you can do the repairs needed to make the trailer's lights work and the blinkers and the running lights and all that, but these are good for just getting it out of the field and getting it home safely. I didn't talk about this earlier, but personal protection is definitely important when it comes to working with power tools. Safety glasses, I usually wear sunglasses, but safety glasses and earphones. You got to take care of your ears. So I always plan ahead. I carry extra stuff, like no matter where I go. I got extra screws, self-tapping screws. I got extra grinder wheels for cutting. I go through those pretty quick. And you never know when you're going to need some extra screws or different assortment of screws. So it's good to carry extras of whatever you might need. Tape. This is a very important part. Before I go down the road with any trailer, I walk around to make sure that none of the windows are open, none of the compartment doors are open, because you don't want to lose a compartment door going down the road. It's happened to me. I've had to run back on the side of the interstate to pick up a compartment door. It's just not a good time. Tape is cheap, it's easily accessible, and so that you don't lose windows, doors, compartment doors, etc. And last but not least, the bag's like a catch-all of all the other necessary items. So we got scissors, we got tin snips, we've got a tape measure, we've got a dust cap remover tool. That has come in handy a lot of times. We got a mask for when I go into dusty trailers. I'll definitely include some of those clips in the videos. Zip ties, must. Extra hitch pins, also a must. You want to make sure that your coupler latch is securely fastened to the ball with one of these, because it does happen to where sometimes the trailer can get worn out over time and pop off the ball. This prevents that. Anyway. Alright, so now that I've showed you guys what I keep in my truck, let's check out some clips so you can see these tools and everything else that I just talked about in action. So here on the left, I've got a 45-foot Spartan. I got my 2 floor jacks so that the trailer is lifted up high enough to safely remove the wheels, service the wheel bearings, check PSI, and torque down the lug nuts. And on the right, I've got extra wheels and spares. I personally purchase new tires when I go pick up a trailer. It's worth the investment. You don't want to have any question marks hauling something down the road, especially with 30-year-old tires. A good rule of thumb is that if you're going to pick up a single axle trailer, then carry at least 1 extra spare. And if you're picking up a double axle, carry at least 2 extra spares. If the trailer that you're dragging out of a field has tires that look like this, then you can just guarantee yourself that you're going to need to service the bearings. It's a pretty easy process with repacking the bearings with new grease, but if you don't feel comfortable with that, oftentimes you can take it into a trailer service place or a used tire shop, and they can typically do the bearings for you. This is a good example of what old bearing grease looks like. Ultimately, it gets caked up and looks like tar, which also causes friction. And ultimately, if your bearing grease looks like this, it's a good chance that your bearings are going to blow out, and you could end up on the side of the road somewhere in the middle of nowhere without access to tools or resources. A common challenge that I've come across is dragging underbelly, and in this case I use an angle grinder to cut away the excess hanging down aluminum and or pin it up with self-tapping screws. Here's a quick look at one of the worst ones that I've had to deal with on the side of the road. This one sat out in the field, and as you can see underneath, there's literally a rat kingdom that weighed so much that it made all the underbelly just start dragging on the ground. So what I did in this case is I just took my angle grinder and I cut out like a 4x8 section. So that way there's nothing else hanging down or dragging on the road. And yes, that day I did have to give the rats an eviction notice. Another challenge that I come across is definitely the amount of trash that gets left inside of some of these trailers when I go to pick them up. Sometimes these trailers are literally full to the ceiling with trash. In this case, I usually politely ask the owners if they wouldn't mind taking out some of the items inside the trailer so that way I don't have to lug it home and haul everything to the dump. Like this trailer, for example, it seemed pretty decent from the outside until we were able to get up close and realize that it's literally full of trash. Luckily, I did not take it home that day, and the owner actually offered to clean it out for me so that when I picked it up, it was all ready to go. And I very much appreciated that. Here's a Spartan Manor we found that was sitting for a while. I mean, we got mattresses coming out the windows, we got broken windows, we got flat tires. I mean, this thing was like literally full of pecans. I guess it was near a pecan farm anyway. In this case, the owner agreed to take all the stuff that was on the inside of the trailer to the dump on his own time, so we proceeded to grab the rake and get it done. Here we've got an Avion single axle, and in this case, I had to go put on a mask and grab the rake because this thing was full of trash. Luckily, they also agreed to hire a dumpster service to come back and get all the remaining trash that has built up over the last however many decades that this thing has sat in their backyard. So now that we've got all the trash removed, let's get to some of the fun parts. A lot of times these trailers have AC units or large swamp coolers, which is what I'm about to throw off the roof. And so this is a pretty important part of towing safety because you don't want to be going down the road and one of these falls off and becomes a liability. So I just kick them off.
Oh my God.
So now that we've got all that out of the way, let's do a quick safety check before hitting the road. We've got tight lug nuts, we've got good tire pressure, we've got the safety chains hooked up, we've got the lights working in the back, and we battened down the hatches, which means that I walked around the inside, I checked for the inside of the windows to make sure that they're latched, and pretty much at this point, we're ready to hit the road. But it is important to consider that things do change going down the road. So whether you're stopping at a rest area or a gas station, make sure you at least walk around the trailer and do a quick safety check. Make sure that your chains are not dragging, the lights are still hooked up, the windows aren't flying down the road, and everything is still in one piece. So at this point in the video, you should have a pretty good idea of what it takes and the tools needed to be able to take a trailer from looking like this, sitting out in a field or a yard, or in a barn, basically abandoned for who knows how long. Know what it takes to unearth the trailer, rescue it from its long involuntary hibernation, and be able to go down the road with confidence and know that this trailer behind you is going to make it home safely. Thank you all for taking the time to watch my video, and make sure that you get the Bootcamp VIP pass so you can download the replays from all your favorite speakers from today. If you've enjoyed what you saw today and like this type of content, this is actually what I do full time, so please follow along on my Instagram page at Bailey's Vintage Trailers. You can scan the QR code above and see a lot of the rescues that I do with classic cars and Airstream travel trailers. Feel free to send me a DM. I would love to hear from all of you guys. Make sure to mention that you checked out the Bootcamp video, and I'll talk to you soon.